Ladies and gentlemen, the NBA just had a weekend full of Game 7s. Every game that happened was a Game 7, and two of them were Game 7s taking place after a 3-1 lead happened in the series. And frankly, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. And as we will talk about, both teams that led 3-1 blew it. Okay? They blew it. And we're going to get right into that because we're going to talk about these games, and we're going to start with the first game of that weekend, and that was Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers beating the Boston Celtics, led by Jaylen Brown. No Jason Tatum in this game, and they blew a 3-1 lead. And there's a little bit of funny fallout from this game. But Joel Embiid, despite the fact there were points in this game where he looked like he was about to crumble, literally crumble, on national television, he balled out. This brother, 34 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and a block to go with it. All right, this guy was getting banged up all game. All right, Jaylen Brown might have pushed off on Maxey, causing Maxey to fall and just, take out Joel Embiid's knees. Embiid got hurt there. Embiid he was getting stretched during a timeout. This big 7-foot guy getting stretched on the floor by these people. He went to the back to get stretched. There might have been something else that happened where he was just like, oh man, is Embiid about to leave this game? Is he about to have to be ruled out for the rest of the game? But no, he stuck through it. He stayed in the game and balled out, and it was a great performance. You want to know who else had a great performance? Tyrese Maxey. 30 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 61% from the field. Tyrese Maxey has played at an all-NBA level throughout this entire season. At some points, you could argue an MVP level, depending on what you describe most valuable player as meaning, what you define that as. VJ Edgecombe, 23 points on 47% shooting, 45% from 3 on 11 attempts. VJ Edgecombe played great. Paul George. They call the brother PG 13%. I've heard people say that. Well, he was shooting 50% in this game. The 76ers, played incredible. All right. George played great. Offensively, he only had 13 points. Only. That's remarkable. His defense was solid. Edgecombe, fantastic. Embiid and Maxey combining for 64 points. Amazing. And this is far better than what the last Game 7 that Joel Embiid played in, also against the Celtics, was, where what did he have, like 15 points? He had like 15 points and said, yeah, the other guy's got to step up. What? So, amazing performance from the team all around. The Boston Celtics, you can't say the same thing for them. You see, while all the starters, I didn't mention Kelly Oubre, but he was okay in this game. While all the starters basically showed up for the Sixers, can't say the same thing for the Boston Celtics. All right. We'll get into Baylor Scheierman, Luka Garza, and Ron Harper Jr. in a second. But first, I want to talk about Jaylen Brown. Because Jaylen Brown, there's been some criticism of him in this game, and yeah, it's warranted. But he did have 33 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Shot 44% from the field, pretty inefficient. But he was trying. This brother was trying to win. Say what you will, the brother was trying to win. Derek White, 26 points, 3 blocks. However, he only shot 34%. All right, he took like 26 shots. Dude, he might have actually legitimately, I should have probably wrote this down because I was just looking at the box score. He might have actually took more shots than Jaylen Brown. Probably not, but it felt like he did, 31% from 3. Very inefficient game from Derek White. But, he looked like an MVP performance compared to the other 3 starters. Baylor Scheierman, Luka Garza, and Ron Harper Jr. 3 starters combined for 0 points. I don't even know why they were starting. You know what I'm saying? Like, why was this the starting lineup? I think Joe Mazzulla is a great coach, but what was he thinking when he put this lineup out there? All right. He didn't even like this lineup. They never played another. They didn't play together again after the first 4 minutes. Ron Harper Jr. got 4 minutes in this game and didn't play another minute after that. Luka Garza got 8 minutes. Baylor Shireman had, 22 minutes. And I forgot the R in his name when I wrote it down on this piece of paper. But he had 22 minutes, and they combined for 0 points. And like, Shireman got the most minutes out of these guys. I don't even think Baylor Shireman played good. This guy was bricking threes. Maybe he was out there for defense. I don't really know. Was his defense all that good? Probably not. You know who was good? Neemias Queta. I never know if I'm saying his name right. Neemias Queta. 17 points, 12 rebounds, 87% from the field. Didn't start over Luka Garza for whatever reason. He played pretty good in the minutes he was in. I think he should have got more minutes, to be honest. Peyton Pritchard, off the bench, 13 points, 7 assists, 38% from the field, though. That ain't good. 28% from three. That ain't good. So really inefficient night from the Boston Celtics, all things considered, other than Queta. 3 starters with 0 points. You don't ever want to see that. One of them starters played a whole 4 minutes, then wasn't put back in the game, so why was he starting to begin with? And this, again, Boston led 3-1. Boston led 3-1 in this series. And then lost. Not only did they lose, they lost in Boston. And it was like a close game, and down the stretch, there were a couple open looks. Like, Baylor Shireman got some open looks, and I was like, wow, why are the Celtics leaving Baylor Shireman open? Well, it's because the brother couldn't knock down a three at all. He couldn't throw the ball in the ocean, as they say. Peyton Pritchard couldn't knock down a three to take the lead. No one was hitting shots, okay? The most efficient player on here who, aside from Queta, was Jaylen Brown, who shot 44%. Meanwhile, over there in Philly, you got Tyrese Maxey shooting 61%, Paul George 50%, Embiid 46%, Edgecombe 47%. He shot 45% from three. It was a great offensive game and a great defensive game from the 76ers. Meanwhile, the offense for the Celtics, oh, brother, they were just shot chucking, okay? They were shot chucking, and it's, I guess that's how it goes in Boston. All right, in Boston, they live by the three. They die by the three. There's a lot of instances in this game. Go for a layup. You've missed your last 5 3-point attempts. You're not hitting any jump shots. Go for a layup. They didn't go for a layup. Didn't drive in the paint. None of that. All right, they live by the three and they die by the three in Boston. Well, I guess we're going to see a Philly-Knicks second-round matchup. While Jaylen Brown, since losing this game, has gone on Twitch and just said, flopping's ruined our league. And Joel Embiid was doing a whole lot of flopping in this game, which he is right. No one likes flopping, and Joel Embiid certainly flops a lot. And it is absolutely ridiculous a lot of the time. Like, actually all the time. He's 7 feet tall. He probably weighs close to 300 pounds. Yeah, right. Like, you should be flopping for any. Like, flopping's bad in general, but when you got 7, I can't stand when centers do it. I can't stand when centers do it. But, however, Jaylen Brown did flop a lot in Game 7. And some of it was, like, really ridiculous. So a lot of people are pointing out, hey, brother, look, yeah, flopping's bad, but you flop too, Jaylen. But moving on to the next game. Game 7. Orlando versus Detroit. Pistons Magic. I don't know if anyone on the Orlando Magic, aside from Paolo Banchero, knew that this was an elimination game. I don't think any of them knew that. Because aside from Paolo Banchero, these brothers was playing like it was the middle of January. These brothers was playing like it was the middle of January. I only wrote down Paolo Banchero's stat line because most everyone else played bad. Paolo, 38 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He had a block, 56% from the field, 57 from three. Everyone else, like Desmond Bane, didn't have a bad game. Shot 50%. What do you have? Like 16, 18 points, something like that. But like game 7, brother. Game 7. And everyone else was playing terribly. There was a point in the third quarter where Paolo Banchero had more field goals made by himself than the rest of his team did combined. Which is like, yeah, the Pistons came back from being down 3-1. But this is like the most unimpressive 3-1 comeback of all time. Like, I almost don't even care that they came back down 3-1. First of all, you probably should have swept them. Orlando ain't that good of a team. And I'll say that. I'll say that. Orlando is not that good of a team. They were the 8th seed. Their offense is horrible a lot of the times. This is a team that missed 23 straight shots in Game 6 in their own building. They missed 23 straight shots and went 1 for 28 at a certain point. Like what that was like their last 28 shots. The last 28 shots, they went 1 for 28. So like I almost don't care that you came back from being down 3-1 Detroit. You should have swept them or at least beat them in 5. They went up 2 games on you. Come on. I know Orlando is not the worst offensive team of all time. But when you watch them play, it feels like they are. When you watch this team play, it feels like they are the worst offensive team of all time. And they were straight garbage offensively in this Game 7. Where again, Paolo Banchero, if he was playing even half as good as he was, Orlando would have been blown out by 30. Oh man. It was just such a bad game offensively, and they've had a lot of bad offensive games in this series. They lost Game 2 because they couldn't score anything in the third quarter. They lost Game 6 because they couldn't score anything in the second half. Game 6, they scored 19 points in the second half in their own building. Orlando, man. And Jamal Mosley's already been fired. It's been a whole day. It's been a whole day since the Magic lost this game. They've already fired their head coach. I've seen a report that Tom Thibodeau is being considered for this job, for the head coach of Orlando Magic. Feel bad for those players. Paulo's going to be out there playing 50 minutes a night. But let's look at the flip side. Let's look at this. Let's look at the Pistons. All right, we've been talking about a lot about Orlando, a little bit about Detroit. Let's talk about the players, the performances. Cade Cunningham, absolute superstar, 32 points, 12 assists, 55% from the field, 66% from 3. This man was efficient. All right. And I'm not saying the Pistons wouldn't have won the game without this performance, but this is certainly a big reason they did win the game. Tobias Harris, who apparently, I was just listening to Small Ball with Kenny Beecham before I started recording this video because I was working out and needed something to listen to. Tobias Harris in his last Game 7, 0 points. 30 points in this game. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 stocks for Tobias Harris. 61% from the field, 71 from 3. Did I write down the right numbers? I don't know. I don't know because this is crazy. This is crazy. Like I looked at the box score. I wrote it down. Is this someone else's numbers? Is this really Tobias Harris numbers? Apparently. Phenomenal game. Phenomenal game for Tobias Harris. I think he had about 17 points in the third or the second quarter. And like I can't remember right now. Was it 17 in that quarter or was it 17 total he had at the end of the quarter? I don't remember. Either way, it was impressive. Jalen Duren, finally a great game. 15 points, 15 rebounds. Solid game. Great game from the Pistons. But again, like I was saying earlier, you shouldn't have even gone to 7 with this team. I mean, maybe it won't matter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it won't matter. Maybe they'll go on and win the championship. Right? And everyone will forget this even happened. But like, come on. 7 games with this Orlando Magic team? Again, they're not the worst offensive team ever, but they feel like they are. It they really feel that bad when you watch them play sometimes. But now the Pistons will be playing the Cavs, and we're going to get into the Cavs. So this is an interesting series because both of these teams kind of underperformed in their series. They both went to 7, and people thought they shouldn't have gone to 7. So now it's like, but the Pistons blew out the team they were playing in Game 7. So it's kind of like, how do you feel about this? It's not like a 1 seed just dominated or a 1 seed just got taken to 7 and the other team, their opponent in the second round, just breezed by. Neither of these teams just breezed by. So it's like, who do you give the edge to in this series? The Pistons or the Cavs. And me personally, I'm going with Cleveland. I think Cleveland will beat the Pistons in the second round. All right, I'm just going to put that out there. I think they're going to the conference finals. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about Cleveland. Won 2 games. All right, they won game 1 and 2, both in Cleveland. We go to Toronto. Toronto wins both games. All right, go back to Ohio. Cleveland wins again, and they're up 3-2. We go back to Toronto. R.J. Barrett with a game-winning shot to tie the series. Back in Cleveland. Cleveland comes out with the W. Jarrett Allen, 22 points, 19 rebounds. Cleveland cannot win games if their centers don't play great. And Jarrett Allen played great. Evan Mobley had a pretty good game too. But Jarrett Allen especially played great. Okay, if Cleveland wants to win a single series, which they now have done, their centers need to play great, which they did. Jarrett Allen, 22, 19. He had 5 stocks. He had 8 offensive rebounds. Let's quickly talk about the Raptors. Scotty Barnes continues to play fantastic. I seen someone say Scotty Barnes a top 15 player in the league. Someone say, really? Scotty Barnes, top 15? Yeah, Scotty Barnes is probably, maybe he's not concrete top 15, but he's at least in the conversation, okay? Like, maybe he's the 16th or the 17th or the 18th best player, but you got to consider Scotty Barnes as a top 15 player. All right, he is in that conversation. But yeah, you want to say Scotty Barnes right now is a top 15 player in basketball? I can agree with that. I mean, he's a fantastic two-way player. 24 points in this game. 57% shooting. Fantastic. Jamal Shead and Jacoby Walter were pretty good in this game as well. I think was it Jamal Shead or was it Jacoby Walter who drew 2 charges? It might have been. You know who wasn't so good though? It was the hometown man. It was R.J. Barrett, the hero of Game 6. Put up 23 points in Game 7. Only shot 36%. Only shot 16% from 3. No doubt that hurt the Raptors. But Donovan Mitchell put up 22 points on 45% shooting. Donovan Mitchell having a pretty good game. He's received a lot of criticism in this series. But he showed up in Game 7. His brother showed up in Game 7. 22 points to help the team get the W. James Harden, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Only shot 33% from the field, 20% from 3. A lot of people say, a lot of people have said that, this team's not going to go far because James Harden's a playoff dropper. All right? And to be honest, even if James Harden shoots like this in a lot of games, in the big moments, maybe Game 1, Game 2, he's hooping. But you get the series tied, and it's a crucial Game 5, or you're a crucial Game 7, James Harden's hooping like this, or at least shooting like this, I haven't thought that would be that big of a deal. And I still don't think it is that big of a deal because this Cleveland team, James Harden's not the number 1 option. He doesn't have to be the number 2 option like we saw tonight, or, well, I guess last night, with Jarrett Allen. He doesn't have to be the number 3 option. Allen can play better than him. Mobley can play better than him. Now, Mobley had a pretty good game himself, but 13 points. Probably wouldn't say he was the 3rd option in this game. But James Harden being a playoff dropper in terms of his scoring and his efficiency, to me, isn't that big of a deal on this team where he's clearly not the number one option. He doesn't have to be the number 2. He doesn't have to be the number 3 even. All right? I mean, still, stat line's not bad. Percentages aren't great, but this brother's getting to the free throw line, so, made up for it in that way, I guess. I think Cleveland Pistons will be a very interesting matchup. Honestly, it could go either way, but I'm going Cleveland.